day, subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Jeremy. This is the Financial Education Channel, and today we're talking about why Apple revenues are set to explode in 2018. We're talking over 11 figures. For those of you guys at home who do not do math that fast, that's over $10 billion. So Apple is set to have revenue absolutely explode in 2018, and we're going to kind of look at the reasons why. And so when you're thinking about Apple, as far as the revenues going up a lot or down a lot, you need to have two things in mind. One is iPhone, the business is driven by iPhone, and the second is services, which has really become the second biggest revenue and profit category for Apple, and is a huge growth engine. So you need to think about iPhone and you need to think about services. So we're going to kind of pay attention to these two today, and you'll kind of see why Apple is in a really good position over the next year, guys. So let's look at this. So first off, what I want to look at is in the last 4 quarters, how many iPhones has Apple sold in the last 4 quarters? So Apple has sold 215 million iPhones in the past 4 quarters. So the past year, they've done 215 million iPhones. So what I kind of want to think about here is when we run some of these numbers on iPhone, we're just going to assume that their iPhone units stay the same, which I think is really super bearish. I mean, if they only sell 215 again this year, I think that's almost a bearish stance rather than a bullish stance. That means they didn't have any increase in the amount of iPhones. But for the numbers' sake, we're just going to run it as far as that just to be safe, and you guys will still see how these numbers are going to be insane. So first thing I want to look at here is last year, ASP, so the average selling price per phone went up to $695. It was a $4 raise over the quarter. There was not even a huge increase in price in the iPhone last year, okay? This year's a total different ballgame, right? So iPhone 7, that started at $649. The iPhone 7 Plus, that started at $769. This year's iPhones, the iPhone 8, are starting at $699. That's a $50 increase there. $50 increase. iPhone 8 Plus is starting at $799, which would be about a $30 increase. So the ASPs, no matter what, on iPhone 8s are going to be much higher than iPhone 7 regardless, guys. And then we got iPhone X, which is coming in November, the newest, or excuse me, I don't know why I keep calling it iPhone X. It's iPhone 10. This is coming in November, guys. This phone starts at $1,000. It starts at $1,000. So you can imagine some of the configurations on that are going to be $1,100–1,200 plus dollars, guys. So let's run some numbers here. I think it's safe to assume, I think the worst possible case scenario is that they would sell the same amount of iPhones this year and they would only have ASPs go up $10, okay? So we do 215 million iPhones times $10 and you get $2.1 billion. That is the worst possible case scenario right there, is about a $2.1 billion revenue rise in iPhone. That's still insane, but that's kind of like worst case scenario. Kind of the middle ground, I would say, would be that they sell the same amount of iPhones, so 215 million, and ASPs go up about $25. I think that's probably the realistic amount there. That's about a $5.3, almost $5.4 billion raise in revenues, in iPhone revenues right there. A bullish one would be that iPhones stay the same, and once again, these are all, as far as the amount of iPhones, that's all bearish. I mean, if they just sold 215 million again, that's a bearish stance on Apple, but we're just assuming that, okay? So 215 million times $40 ASP rise, that'd be $8.62 billion, okay? So you can see these numbers are insane. So next I want to look at services. Services, they're doing over $7 billion a quarter now in revenue on services. So you times out $7 billion times 4 quarters in a year, that's $28 billion in services revenue. Now, that's been growing over 20%. I think that's going to continue on this year. I do not see that slowing down. Maybe it slows down to 15%, but I still see it keeping around at 20%. That would mean that the revenue in services will rise about $5.6 billion this year, guys. About $5.6 billion. So if you add in the median estimate there, about $25 raise in ASPs for the iPhone, which was over $5 billion in capital extra revenue coming in there, and you add that with what they're going to probably have in services going up, that's around $11 billion in itself. So, and mind you, I think those are pretty conservative estimates. So revenue should rise just between iPhone and services around $11 billion, and I think that's a little conservative, guys. So you can see that in itself, those two things by itself are 11 figure type things, guys. That's huge. Then on top of that, you add in the Apple Watch, which, Series 3, I think this one will probably definitely outsell the previous models. This one should definitely, it's not going to be a huge revenue rise. Maybe that brings in an extra $1 billion or so, which is an insane amount, but for Apple, it's just pennies, right? Apple, the 4K HDR TVs coming out, so that should rise to revenue. So they got a lot of things going on. But the main thing is iPhone, the ASPs are going up. There's no doubt about it. The average selling prices of these phones are going to go up dramatically just because they're much more expensive now. And then on top of that, services is just going to continue to rise. I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. So, huge things there. And then when you got to think about Apple, that's great on the revenue side, but on the profit side, it's even better, right? Because we know Apple's just becoming more and more profitable. And then on top of that, they're buying back shares in bulk right now. So you're going to have a situation where net income should go up several $1 billion next year, right? And then there's going to be less shares to be counted against, so which would raise EPS up even at a faster rate, which would be great. So then they can raise dividends even more and do more share buybacks and all that good stuff, guys. So when I look at Apple, there's no doubt I see revenues exploding over this next year, 11 figures plus, guys, and profits should rise several $1 billion in 2018. Now, why am I not buying Apple stock? Why am I not? Well, first off, the future's long. Who knows? Maybe I could buy Apple stock at some point. I haven't yet, just because when I buy stock, right, when I'm buying a stock, I want to buy stocks that I could see realistically doubling within the next few years. They got such positive catalysts going that I could see that stock doubling within the next couple of years. Those are the kind of stocks I'm going into, right? Apple, I cannot really see this stock necessarily doubling. Are they going to have absolutely profits go up, revenues go up, business being even better? Yes, absolutely. If I was, let's say, 20 years older than I am, Apple would be probably my biggest investment. Honestly, if I was 20 years older than I am right now and we fast forward this, Apple would probably be my biggest investment because it still offers some growth in there. But it offers also an extreme amount of safety. It's one of the safer companies I can find as far as the ecosystem. As far as, if somebody buys an iPhone, they're probably going to buy another iPhone and another iPhone, and they get in the ecosystem, the Apple ecosystem, then they start using services, and they just stay in the Apple ecosystem at the end of the day. So it's one of the safer companies out there, and it's still a company that definitely offers growth. And it offers dividends. So if I was 20 years older, this is absolutely a stock I would be in at the end of the day, guys. But for me, in my stages right now, I'm trying to find big growth companies that I think are a little undervalued. So that's my game plan. But great company overall, and let me know in that comment section what you guys think. If you guys have any guesses on what you think Apple's revenue would go up next year, I would love to hear from you guys in that comment section. If you just came across this channel, you may want to subscribe. We talk personal finance on the channel, we talk entrepreneurship on the channel, and we talk stock market investing more than anything. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.